Okay, I think we can get started. Just to be respectful to everyone's time. Good afternoon again. My name is Arthur Jimenez. I'll be one of the presenters today, and I'll be sharing the platform with Ms. Ellen Nalen from Surety Bond Associates. And so this is a bi-weekly webinar we do every 2 weeks, just to make sure that people understand the rebuild contract line of credit and also the rebuild ready, and also take a step back and look at the rebuild initiative, do a recap on that, and talk about, give an update on the projects and what the rebuild ready services are available to you. Next slide, please. Yeah, so again, my name is Arthur Jimenez. Ellen Nalen is also joining us today. Again, we're going to cover the program objectives of Rebuild, talk about the Rebuild Ready program, how to stay in touch with that, and then talk about contract line of credit. I will stay at high level on that program because we really want to give some time for Q&A and just make sure people have a chance to ask any questions they have that's been bugging them. Okay, next slide, please. Again, so Ellen Nalen will present the first part of the slide to give a recap about Rebuild Initiative, the programs that are available, and then I will end the presentation with the contract line of credit. Then we'll go over the questions. So Ellen, do you want to take it from here? Oh, you're mute.
Thank you, Art. My name is Ellen Nalen. I'm the owner of Surety Bond Associates, and we are the consultant that was hired to run the Rebuild Ready Business Support Program in partnership with the Enterprise Center. Can we move to the next slide, please? So for those of you who aren't familiar with Rebuild, it's getting a lot of press these days with the soda tax issue being raised once again. But this is one of Mayor Kinney's pet projects. The soda tax, I'm sure you're all familiar with that, was used to raise money for the Philadelphia School District, but you may not know that about $400 million has been earmarked to improve recreation centers, parks, and libraries in those neighborhoods in Philadelphia that are most vulnerable. Next slide, please. So the ways that Rebuild is engaging and creating these opportunities and investing in neighborhoods is Rebuild and City Council have kind of collaborated to launch this initiative, and it's really meant to design a forum and an avenue for diverse businesses to get access to contract opportunities. They're heavily involved in engaging the community at the local neighborhood level. A lot of the larger projects are being managed by various nonprofits throughout the city, and they're responsible for increasing awareness in the community about the project and the improvements coming up. They're also involved in workforce development initiatives as well, increasing more minority and women in the various union trades. Part of what we're doing is providing a platform where diverse businesses get a seat at the table, and Rebuild is providing that access. Next slide, please. So there's been a number of projects that have already been completed. The Rebuild program has really been up and running for, I'm going to say, about 3 years now. There was kind of a delay with COVID along with everything else, but there's a ton of projects in the pipeline. There have been many that have been completed. Two that I know of that are in the process of being awarded and started are the Heightsman Recreation Center and the Glavin Recreation Center. Those are both being managed through nonprofit project users. Some of the projects have been going through the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority, and we still expect that some of those projects will be continued to be procured that way. But a lot of the nonprofit projects are bigger projects, such as a couple that you see referenced here. The Vare Recreation Center is one, and the Alney Recreation Center is another. Those two projects, the demolition for each of those is expected to start this fall, with the improvements and the construction to start in the winter or spring of next year. There's another smaller project that is in the pipeline that should be out relatively soon, probably early spring, and that's the Zeiler Playground. That's a really small project that involves site improvements to the playground. Next slide. I think we went backwards. There we go. So what we're mostly involved with at Surety Bond Associates is the Rebuild Ready Business Support Program, and that is a program that is really designed to help prepare contractors that are minority and women-owned contractors located in Philadelphia to be ready to bid on these rebuild projects. Next slide. So the city has invested a lot of resources in trying to make that happen. We've developed a cohort training program. It's a 12-week cohort training program. And the emphasis is on pretty much construction management. We focus on construction accounting and financial management. These are typically areas that small contractors are weak in. We help them establish a solid foundation for their back office operations. We train them in blueprint reading and interpretation and estimating and bidding on rebuild projects. We also have a construction attorney on our team that goes through the contract documents and provides them with advice and what to look for and pitfall clauses, things like that. We also provide assistance to those contractors that want to transition into the union environment. We provide them with assistance with prevailing wage and certified payroll, and also submitting that certified payroll through the city LCP tracker system. And our cohort training also is really pretty much focused on project management and project cash flow management. Next slide, please. So these are some of the ancillary services that are also provided through the program. All contractors get access to the cohort training program. They also get free one-on-one technical assistance from our team of construction specialists. The emerging vendor program is one that that provides contractors that are eligible to receive their MWBE certification. They can be included in the EVP registry and actually be counted towards receiving credit towards MWBE participation on rebuild projects. We also provide them with certification assistance once they're approved as an emerging vendor through the Enterprise Center. They will walk them through the whole MWBE certification process and help them gather their documents along the way. The nonprofit project users have a RFQ contractor qualification process, and that is something that we help our contractors get prepared for. It's a questionnaire along with supporting documents that every project user wants contractors to provide as proof of qualification before they bid on their project. We help them with their bond application, and a lot of these applications are very similar, and the documents required are very similar. So we're basically helping them get their paperwork in order and and get their paperwork organized so that they can submit whatever is required for any application for financial services that they might need along the way. We help them with the rebuild contract line of credit application that Arthur's going to review in a minute. We help them with their QuickBooks accounting systems. We provide them with bookkeeping assistance for 6 months. They get access to free bookkeeping assistance, and we kind of coach them and train them on how to properly eventually do their own bookkeeping. We provide them with access to bidding and construction procurement assistance and any back office assistance they need in preparing their paperwork, their certified payrolls, their payment applications, and whatever other paperwork is required to submit with their payment applications. We also have project managers that perform site visits and help them monitor and manage the project and help them with any field operations management needs they may have if they are awarded a contract. Next slide, please. We're launching a little bit later this year a Tier 2 mentorship program for contractors that have already gone through the cohort training program. And that program has graduated over 90 contractors so far. So they've had a lot of really solid foundational training and education. And now we're going to have this mentorship program that is really designed to be more hands-on. They're actually going to be responding to a rebuild project. They're going to be bidding on a rebuild project, those that participate in this program, as well as preparing all the documents that they're going to need to submit with that project, which includes the RFQ application, any bidding documents that are required, a budget. They'll be preparing a budget for that project. They'll submit a payment application. They'll actually submit a certified payroll and submit it through LCP Tracker. So it's really hands-on. They're going to be assigned a construction mentor that will work with them throughout the duration of this mentorship training program. And we expect that that's going to be probably an 8-week program. And we expect to be launching that later this year, November, maybe early December. Next slide, please. So to participate in the Tier 2 mentorship program, a contractor has to be really serious about bidding on rebuild contracts. They have to have already completed one of the cohort training programs. They have to be a GC or a trade contractor. This is not really meant for professional services firms. And they have to be either already approved in the EVP program, or they have to be certified as an MWBE already and in the OEO registry. They've got to be committed to complete the contractor qualification application and prepare all of the required documents that will be part of that submittal. And their gross sales, it's not etched in stone, but we're really looking for contractors that are really truly ready to bid. If your sales aren't $250,000, we will certainly take that into consideration. Next slide, please. So here's some of the resources in addition to all of the technical assistance and training. We have access to Rebuild's contract line of credit. Arthur's going to explain that. We have access to bonding and bonding resources to help contractors qualify for bonding. If they're bidding as a prime contractor on any of these projects, they definitely will need bonding. They may need bonding to bid as a sub as well. So we'll provide them with access to that, as well as access to insurance. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the emerging vendor program earlier. This is a little bit more information about that. Again, anyone that is a minority or woman-owned business and they meet a very low threshold to be included in the registry, that they can be counted towards Rebuild's pretty aggressive MWBE goals in all of their contracts. And they can be counted for up to $150,000 in contract value while they're getting certified. And they have up to 18 months to be included in the emerging vendor program. And hopefully within that time frame, they will proceed and get their MWBE certification. Being included in this registry is also a benefit because this list does get shared with the project users, and any GC or any prime that is looking for MWBE participants can also download this list from OEO's website. And again, technical assistance with the MWBE certification application is available through the Enterprise Center. Next slide, please. So how to get ready? You can visit Rebuild's website. We have a link for that in the next slide, I believe, and I can drop it in the chat. You can sign up for vendor email updates. You'll get all of the updates, marketing, and project updates from Rebuild directly. Contractors that are interested in getting involved in and bidding on contracts, they can complete a call for interest form. And that information is held in a database and also shared with the project users. You can check for contracting opportunities right from Rebuild's website as well. If you sign up for vendor updates, you'll get an email notification every time there's a new project out for bid. And if you're not MWBE certified, you should pursue that or apply for the emerging vendor program. And if you need assistance and you want to get access to contract opportunities and access to all the resources that I provided an explanation of previously, please sign up for the Rebuild Ready program if you haven't already. It's a wonderful program. It's not like anything I've ever seen in my career, and we don't know how long it's going to be available, so sign up if you haven't already. Next slide. So here's how to reach out to Rebuild directly if you're interested in finding out more about opportunities, or you're interested in perhaps being part of their workforce development program. You can reach out by sending an email to rebuild@phila.gov. Next slide. And here's my contact information. If you have any questions about the Rebuild Ready Business Support Program, I'll drop my email in the chat as well. Now I'll turn things over to my friend Arthur.
Thanks, Ellen. So I posted the Rebuild Contract Opportunities website. Right now, there's nothing posted, but I would check that regularly, at least once a week, because that is updated very frequently. In the past, I've seen at least 3 or 4 projects. Right now, I don't see any. So I think in that case, I would email rebuild@phila.gov just for any updates. But yeah, usually that website is updated frequently with the current projects that are open for bids. And they usually also tell you, it's like, if the status of those projects, whether they're funded or they're contingent on some other approvals. And there was one question, Ellen, we also covers before we forget, is what if gross sales aren't that, but everything else applies? And I think you did cover it. So even though it's sales of the
sales are quite 250, that, you know, we will definitely take that into consideration, but you do have to already have gone through a Rebuild cohort to get into the tier 2. That's the first requirement, and you'd have to meet all of the other eligibility requirements. And
Okay.
our next cohort, we have a cohort launching tonight with the Hispanic Chamber. It's really exciting. It's an all Spanish cohort.
Great.
And our next regular cohort is probably going to be sometime next spring.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Alan, for sharing that.
Yep.
Next slide, please. So again, my name is Arthur Jimenez. I work for PiDC. So PiDC is the Economic Development Partner for the City of Philadelphia. We are not a city agency, but we do operate a lot of contracts for the city. So sometimes the money does we do cut checks on behalf of the city, but we're not a city department. We just we work very closely with them on a lot of different projects. And one of those projects is providing capital to small businesses. So this capital is not city funds. It is mostly funds that we've been able to raise by ourselves because we know that businesses have a hard time accessing capital, especially with because of a lot of the banks have been consolidating, have been being acquired, like smaller banks being acquired by bigger banks. That does leave a lot of small businesses behind in terms of usually when the banks get bigger or get gobbled up by bigger banks, they no longer serve smaller businesses. So that's what we provide, these products, such as a working capital equipment loan. It's a very flexible loan to provide like just what it says, working capital. So like be payroll, inventory, supplies, financing for that. Even equipment, if you can't get an equipment loan, you can also use that loan for that. We have a contract line of credit, which is really invoice receivables, getting advanced on contract receivables, excuse me. So you're really getting paid faster on these slow paying contracts. We'll cover that a little bit more since we talk about the rebuild contract line of credit too. An old product we have is the capital project loan. So this is more of a job creation type loan because it has government federal funds are the source of these funds or source of this loan. But that is usually below market rate. But since rates are so low these days, it's going to be like, from the rates will vary from like 3 to 4%. A lot of rates already are kind of that low, like traditional banks can offer 3% too. So it's not as competitive as it used to be. Pre-COVID, it was more competitive, maybe like 10, 15 years ago when rates are much higher. But I think another product we've been more successful on is a commercial mortgage loan. So that helps you purchase a property. Interest rate is 4%, a little bit higher than what a bank offers, but the bank will actually ask for 20% down payment. We only ask for about 10. So that is a big differentiator. And it's only available for businesses that are looking to stay in Philadelphia. It has to be a property in Philadelphia that they'll occupy. Okay. Next slide, please. So here's a side-by-side comparison of some folks might be already familiar with our traditional contract line of credit. And we're also what we're talking about today is mostly about the rebuild contract line of credit. So they work in the same sense that they just bridge receivables. You cannot use it to purchase, inventory, supplies. You can once you receive the proceeds, but it's really the way you receive the proceeds is you do the work. Say, for example, for a rebuild contract, you perform on the rebuild project. Let's say you do demolition, for example, because we were talking about earlier. It gets approved by the rebuild project manager and the project user. Now the invoice is approved to pay, and now you have to, without the contract line of credit, you have to wait. Sometimes you got to wait 60, 90 days. Hopefully shorter, but it could be that far out because the invoice has to make its way through not just the project user, but through the rebuild office and also city treasurer's office, the budget office. So there's a lot of steps that has to go through. That's how we came up with a contract line of credit. So you can get paid in about 1 to 2 weeks after the invoice approval. Once we have that invoice has been approved, meaning the project manager's reviewed it again and approved it. Now it's just kind of scheduled to pay and it has to make its way through the city departments. We can fund that invoice in about 1 to 2 weeks. So that the loan will get advanced up to 90% of the receivable amount. So we hold on to that last 10% until we receive the payment from the city. Then we send you that 10% minus the small interest rate of 1.5%. That is an annual interest rate. So it's probably gonna be a fraction of that. It's already very low. It'll be a fraction of that because that's annual. That's the annual rate. And then we have like ACH fee of I forget, it's like $10 or so. So yeah, so that's generally how it works. You are renewed every 12 months. The amount is from $50,000 up to $300,000 for first-time borrowers. $300,000. I want to clarify for first-time borrowers. That's the cap. After 1 year of being a client, we can increase that to $500,000. If you're an existing client for PiDC and you apply for rebuild, we may qualify you for that higher amount because to PiDC, you're not a new client. And yes, more importantly too is the mobilization grant up to $5,000. So we say that's really should be used for rebuild projects. But if you tell me, for example, that you want to purchase a software package that helps you with reporting requirements, not just for rebuild, but just for all your other projects. So it's, it's something that you can use for really all your projects, help you run your business better. The grant can be used for that. So we're making it as flexible as possible. If you've already spent the money, you can get reimbursed too. So as long as you get approved. So it doesn't have to be for future expenses. It can be for previous expenses as well. Yeah, and then so that the grant opportunity of $5,000 and the interest rate of 1.5 makes it much more attractive than the traditional line of credit. The traditional contract line of credit we had was it was a smaller interest rate was 3.5%, which is pretty low already, but the 1.5 is lower, and you don't have that grant. This is the first time we were offering the grant opportunity because of our generous funder, JP Morgan Chase, was able to give us those funds for the grant. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the high-level overview of the process. It takes about 45 to 60 days. We ask that you apply before you get the rebuild contract, because that sometimes takes a while. So, but if you already have submitted a bid, we urge you to at least contact one of us. Preferably me directly. If you contact Ellen will direct you to me. But this is basically the steps we go through. We schedule a call. You fill out the online application, review your materials. It's very similar to applying for a loan. So we ask for documents like tax returns, some information about the project. We'll go through that to the attachments in another slide. So there is usually a $250 application fee this year because we're really just, this is the first year of rolling it out. We have waived that fee just so we can accelerate the number of applications we get. And also we just want to receive as many applications as possible this year. There is a closing fee of $1,250 if it's going to be more than $50,000 contract line of credit. So those are for the larger contracts. But if you only are applying for $50,000 or even lower than that, so some clients have asked if they can only apply for like a $25,000 contract line of credit. I think we would consider that, and then you would pay less fees because it's a smaller amount. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, I think we went backwards. Next slide, please. There. Okay, thank you. So these are the underwriting fundamentals that we talk about. Really, when we apply for the due diligence we do for any loan application. I just want to go through them quickly. And we'll start with these are called the 5 C's of credit. The first is character. So that's really looking at your past performance as a company, what is your experience in the industry, how long you've been working in construction or in that specific trade you're working in, um, how long is your credit history. We do look at your credit report. We don't have a cutoff credit score, but we just want to make sure that you're on top of your existing accounts, really. But again, we don't have a cutoff credit score. And then we look at what's available for collateral. The next C is collateral. So usually we look at kind of what assets you own or what we pledge as collateral. In the case for rebuild contract line of credit, the contract itself is usually sufficient for collateral. If there are some major blemishes on your credit, we might have to look into additional forms of collateral so that we can mitigate the risk of repayment. But most cases, the contract itself is sufficient. Next is cash flow. So you want to see somehow Ellen looks at your previous revenues of 250 or above. We don't have a cutoff. Hopefully your revenues are above $100,000. That's usually where we start off. Typically, that's what we want to see at the minimum. Again, we may make exceptions. We try to be flexible. That's usually the minimum we look for, $100,000 in revenues. What's how long you've been in business? Of 2 or 3 years, hopefully, is what that history looks like. Do you have previous tax returns that you've filed? We'd like to get a copy of those. We can look at the cash flow. Have you been profitable in those years? And those are the things we look at. So that's the cash flow bucket. For capital, we do look at your how much what's the net worth of your business. Is it positive? Is it negative? How much cash you have kind of working capital do you have in the business right now? That's what we look at for capital. And then for conditions, this is really more just understanding the current economic climate. We understand we're still in this pandemic. So this conditions isn't as important, but we still take that into account about what are the economic conditions currently. Okay, next slide, please. So we do have an online application. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to fill out. So this is the one application for all PiDC products. So in cases where, for example, for rebuild contract line of credit, you fill out one application, you can also request for additional loan products. So if you need capital up front, so we do have our working capital equipment loan, like I said earlier. We actually are pushing our restart loans, which is a 0% working capital loan. So you can inquire for that as well. So that really gives you that capital up front to not just so you'll receive a grant if you are approved, and also some 0% loan funds in addition to that. So it really puts you in a good position to be successful on this project. And yeah, so one application, you can apply for multiple products. And then at the end, it'll ask you to upload attachments, which I think we have on the next slide. Next slide, please. So these are attachments we ask for. On the left side, these are like the bare essentials we ask, such as for the rebuild, you might not have the rebuild contract liner. You might not have the contract right away. But if you do, please upload that. We ask for a project budget. If you have like your bid package, that could also be sufficient for that. Your credit consent form, so that we have the ability to look at your credit report. Tax certification form. So this is a form you download on the application. We just want to make sure that you're up to date on your taxes, city taxes primarily, 3 years of business tax returns, your personal financial statement. That's just a form for you to state your assets, your personal assets and your personal liabilities. Yeah, so that's a kind of your personal balance sheet. It gets a little complicated, so we can help you fill that out. And then the interim financial statements is, for this year. So say like you have tax returns already complete for 2020. We would like to see what your financial statements are for 2021. That's the interim financial statements. 3 years of your personal tax returns for really just for any owner that owns more than 20% of the business. And then your existing company debt schedule. That's just a list of all your existing business related debts. Some supplements we'll also may ask for is like your resumes of people on the team, on the management team, an appraisal. That's appraisals really need for properties. But again, for a contract line of credit, that probably won't be needed. Our organizational chart, excuse me. Articles of incorporation, that's more for if you don't have that up front, that I think that's fine at the application, time of application. We will ask for that. If you are approved, we do need that for loan closing. Bank statements as well. 3 months of bank statements, your business bank account, a monthly projection. So we can help you with this. So our team and also Ellen's team can help you put that together, monthly projections. And then if you keep track of your aging payables, receivables, we'd like to have a log of that. Okay, next slide, please. So here's an example of the projected cash flow. So this is on a monthly basis, and this really helps you understand, helps us understand, but also help you understand how your cash flow probably will work in the future for these contracts. Because it's really, you have to understand that the timing issue of how the, when you incur the expenses, when you bill for the work, and when you actually receive the funds to pay for those expenses, because they're not all in the same month. So this really helps you like understand that. It's a good exercise. And also on the bottom, it shows you the outstanding cash flow balance. Helps us understand like what the total amount should be. Whether it's a $50,000 contract line of credit or more. Okay, next slide, please. And then collateral. So again, it's one of those 5 C's of credit. So typically it is the contract itself is the collateral, but all loans also require a personal guarantee and a lien on business assets. So that is standard. Usually, and that with the contract proceeds, with the lien on the contract, I'm sorry, an assignment of the proceeds, that should be sufficient in most cases. Okay, next slide, please. And this is other people on our team, Evan Montalvo and Heather Hanowitz, who also may be working on your application in addition to me. So that is, that's my office number, 215-496-8181. That calls also directly to my cell phone. So because we're not always working in the office, but email's better for me. So it's ajimenez@pidcphila.com. And I think at this point, we'll open up to any questions that we haven't answered yet. And yeah, thank you for your time today. I'll check the chat. Let's see. I don't see any questions that we have not answered in the chat. Does anyone on the call have any questions? So I see, I'm just gonna call out some names. Darlene, Mark, Noel, Shakira, or Tahira. If you can hear me, please, this is the time to ask any questions you may have. It could be just general rebuild questions, because Ellen is our in-house expert. Well, not in-house, but on this call at least, all things rebuild. And so it can be really about anything. So there's a question about, are you guys affiliated with the Enterprise Center? Ellen, do you want to clarify that relationship?
We partner with the Enterprise Center. They are providing the MWBE certification technical assistance under the Rebuild Ready program. They've done some business cohort training, but our cohort workshop series is really separate from theirs, and construction focused and preparing contractors to actually bid on a rebuild contract. And their program is more general business assistance.
And Shakir, you're saying that so you said I looked into the application and it took me to their site for the rebuild application.
Yes, they created a rebuild ready online application. So that's still the first way to get involved with the program. And then we actually get a copy of your application when you submit it immediately.
And she said also, I'm already an MBE certified and signed up with the OEO. I'm seeking help with bidding and contracts and estimates. Who do you suggest I start with?
You can start with me. And I put my email address in the chat.
Okay. And to clarify also, so the Enterprise Center is a separate nonprofit to PiDC. So we work similarly in the sense that we support small businesses, but we're separate nonprofits. Enterprise Center is mostly now working with the technical assistance piece. We're providing this specifically for the contract line of credit. So that's coming from PiDC. And that's, that's the distinction I want to make sure it's made. And then there's another question. Is there a loan funding for historical buildings in Philadelphia, such 8-unit building? So there's, we can take that offline, Noel. So that there might be a PiDC if you occupy the building, it's located in Philadelphia, some of our loan products may qualify, may be eligible for that. So we can talk offline. I will put my email again in the chat so you can contact me. And yeah, so again, I want to reiterate that. So PiDC is the official economic development partner of the city. So we work very closely with the city, and that's why we have this. We're working very closely with the Rebuild Initiative. And we are also we are affiliated with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. We are the official capital partner of the program. We've been involved with them for 8 years now, I believe, 7 or 8 years, ever since they started the Philadelphia chapter. So we still help with them in terms of recruiting, helping them find the new enrollees. And also we do talk to the businesses usually during the year, during their program. And also, I think the best time to talk with those businesses is at the end, once they've refined their growth program, is when we really engage with them, because that's the best time for us to work together in terms of funding their growth plan. Okay. Any other questions? So I think there's a question about, maybe you can, Ellen, you can talk about I think this is about the Rebuild Ready program. The question is, can you explain what we do? I've stumbled upon this training. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is specifically for the Rebuild Initiative. The Rebuild Initiative has some support programs that goes along with it, and that is called the Rebuild Ready program. Ellen, would you like to go through that again, or services provided?
The services that we provide through Rebuild are cohort training in construction and financial management, access to technical assistance, and financial resources. So you can get access to assistance with bidding, procurement, assistance with your certification, assistance with bonding. And the whole emphasis really of the program and the services is to help you bid on rebuild projects.
Thank you, Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're welcome. We see some thank you, so you're welcome. Any other questions? We still have about like 10 minutes. Can you clarify, Ellen? So there is a cohort that's starting for.
Yeah, we have a cohort. This is a the first time we've partnered with anyone. We're partnering with the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and they've put together a Buildlatino cohort that is designed around the Rebuild Ready cohort training program. So we've been collaborating with them. They have 15 Spanish-speaking construction business owners that will be participating in this cohort. And they will also have access to all of the support services and resources that we provide to other Rebuild cohort participants. We're really excited about it. Again, Rebuild is really wonderful in terms of being as inclusive as possible in creating opportunities for all diverse businesses in Philadelphia.
Okay, thanks, Alan, for sharing that. Any other questions? Again, I want to reiterate too that so if you apply for the Rebuild contract line of credit, you can also request for additional funds. We also may ask you to if you are interested. So again, that one application can help you qualify for multiple products, loan products. Again, the eligibility for our loan products is you have to be a business located in Philadelphia or have some either headquartered in Philadelphia or have a office space in Philadelphia that you rent or own. You just have to have a presence in Philadelphia. Have revenues of at least $100,000, and yeah, for Rebuild contracts, you have to, for the contract line of credit, you have to have a Rebuild contract. But yeah, but just for our general loan products, you have to be located in Philadelphia and revenues of $100,000.
And that's true also to participate in the Rebuild Ready program. You have to be Philadelphia based,
right,
or have an office in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay. I'll give you one more minute for questions. But if not, if no more, I think we'll wrap things up. There is a question about, is this through sales or services? I'm not sure what do you mean by that question? Tara, do you want to speak up? I think we can mute her line. Tahira, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry about that. Yes, I was talking about capital. You said to qualify, you had to have $100,000 of revenue. Is that through like sales or services?
Oh, okay. Good question. It's either one. It's just your general, like your total sales. So that can be through products and services, either one.
Okay.
And that's just a guideline because our loans usually start at $50,000. Well, you know, the restart loan, the 0% interest loan is 25,000. So, but generally speaking, from our experience, to qualify for the loans, you usually need revenues of at least $100,000. But I'm still open to talk and help clarify that more.
Okay. And do your business have to be in construction? Do you have to have a?
No, it does not
Okay.
have to be construction. We
Okay.
work with clients from all different industries. It could
Oh, okay.
be, you can operate a hair salon, you can operate a nail salon or a restaurant, any type of business that, as long as it's located in Philadelphia, has revenues again of at least $100,000.
Okay.
I forgot to mention too, usually we look for 2 years of operating history. So that's, you have 2 years worth of financial statements. We also look for that.
Okay. So you can't be new. I mean, we do have the $100,000 revenue, but we only been open since March.
March of this year.
Yes, March 17th.
Okay. I think we should still talk because if we can't help you directly, there are other organizations that we can connect you to, our, other nonprofit partners like PIDC.
Okay.
And yeah, and just, yeah, so there's always other options.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And just remind everyone, again, PIDC is the official economic development organization for the city. We are not a city department, but we do work with the city in all different aspects of economic development. So lending is one of them. We also operate the Navy Yard on behalf of the city. We operate some industrial parks also in and around Philadelphia for the city. Sometimes if a city has a property they no longer will occupy, we sell that also for them on behalf, that's a service we provide for the city. So we provide all these different services because we're the official partner, economic development partner for the city of Philadelphia.
Oh,
Okay. Any other questions? And thanks for talking with us, Tahira.
oh, no problem. You know what? Quick question. How do you get access to the houses you guys sell for the city?
How do you access the houses
How
we
will we
sell?
get access? Yeah, so if we
So
want
we
to
usually
purchase.
sell not houses, but they're usually like office buildings or industrial properties.
Yeah.
The city, through its other agencies, like the Redevelopment Authority or PHDC, so Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation. It's a similar organization to PIDC, but they really more focus on housing. At times, they also have usually like an RFP. So you have to, they put some up for bid, and I'll put their website here.
Thank you.
So for those, so the Redevelopment Authority falls under PHDC, I believe. So it's kind of one entity now you have to work with. They consolidated a few years ago.
Okay.
So you can look at this website. I'll post it here. Or opportunities related to PHDC. This is really more for housing in general. So it can be, you can be a contractor. Sometimes they post contract opportunities for services they need for the properties they own, like maintenance contracts, things like that. There's also one for developers. So they're looking for maybe affordable housing developers for properties that they're looking to sell. So they have different criteria for each. So I will look there in those resources.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure, no problem. And if you have a PHDC contract, so say you win a contract with PHDC, you can apply also for the contract line of credit to get paid faster on those projects. That's something we've provided for years now. Usually, like in pre-COVID, we would actually be presenting in front of the PHDC contractors, making sure that they know about our partnership with PHDC. So we haven't done that lately because of COVID, but that agreement is still in place that we can fund those contracts from PHDC.
Okay, nice. Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
This training sounds like some good information.
Yeah, we try to share as much as possible because it's just, this is specific about rebuild, but there are so many other opportunities with the city, and also with with the services that Ellen provides. It's usually more, we want to help you grow, not just to have one contract, but multiple opportunities.
Well, I don't have any more questions. I thank you guys for taking the time to present this information.
Okay. You're welcome, Tahira.
Am I the only one on here now?
Well, there's some other, you're the only one that's unmuted, so you can be now. Or we're actually going to start wrapping things up. But thanks again for calling.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. Take
All
care,
right.
guys.
Thanks for your time, Tahira.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
So there are also, I think so 2 weeks ago, we had a presentation for Med Week. We did have we interviewed, well, we had a presentation from a project user, Hase. So if you want to learn more about like just how to bid for projects, you can go to our, I believe it's on our YouTube channel, which I can post. I think that's the only thing that we usually cannot have every 2 weeks is the kind of a project user speak and help that it really helps get an insight on their process and what they look for in the bids. So I think that's useful for you to watch on our YouTube channel. And then before we close, Ellen, do you want to share anything else?
No, that's about it. Please, anyone reach out to me if you have any questions.
Okay. Thanks everyone for your time. Again, my name is Arthur Jimenez, and thank you, Ellen, for joining us again today. And yeah, contact us if you have any questions. Okay, take
Thanks,
care.
Art.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.